Lance Schilling with Behind the Pump with our integrity-driven challenge for all the motivational people in Texas, and we're showcasing the best. And with that, we're here with one of our great stories, Sarah Dowds. She's had an incredible story, had a lot of things happen with her, and she's been able to fight through a lot to be who she is today. Fitness has been a huge role in her life for this. So how are you doing, Sarah?
I'm pretty good.
Doing
How are you?
Pretty good? Are you doing wonderful?
I mean, today's a good day.
Today is a great day. You look great.
Thank
Everything
you.
looks awesome. Hair's on point.
Thanks.
High five to that.
Thanks.
So, take me through your story a little bit. Tell me, you haven't always been like this.
Yeah.
Take me through it a little bit.
So I moved here from New York literally a year ago to this weekend. And
Well, congratulations, Texas.
thanks, almost a year now, so I'm like a senior veteran. And so I got a job working at a really popular fitness thing here, and I thought it was going to be awesome. Like, this is going to be the best thing ever. Like, this is exactly what I want. Like, I'm in a new place, I have this awesome new job, and it's fitness and it's everything I want. Well, while I'm there, I ended up getting caught up, like I was being sexually harassed at work. And I asked my boss to step in, and he didn't take any time. Like, he didn't care, he didn't bat an eye. He was just like, it's your problem, you're the manager, like, you deal with it. Which I understand, but I also don't, because what you don't want to take, as a manager, like, you don't want to pull somebody who's sexually harassing you aside in an office alone. Like, that's the last thing you want to do.
Right.
Which is why I reached out in the first place, because I'm generally like a very independent woman and I can take care of most things. But so if I reach out to someone, like, I need you.
Right.
And he said no, and I was like, okay, like, what do I do? Like, where am I supposed to go? And it started to really get to me. Like, I started realizing that I wasn't happy anymore, and like the job wasn't what I thought it would be, and it was like really eating at me, and I didn't even notice. And I actually, like, I went home to visit my family, and my mom was like, something's like not right with you, like, you're different, you're not you. I'm like, I didn't even know, I had no idea. And then we ended up going away for a business trip, like for some conference for this company. And while we were there, my boss, he's a great guy, he didn't want to pay for us to stay in a hotel. And so the girl that I went with, we were working together, and her fiance's dad lived out there. So she finagled it with him that we would get to stay at the fiance's dad's house. Which at the time I was like, that's not a problem. But thinking back on it, I'm like, this is not smart. Like, you're an idiot. Why would you do that?
Well, I think with you being such an independent woman, it's like, I can take care of myself.
Yeah, and like, you don't really think, I mean, I personally, I don't think about negative things that often. So when somebody says, like, let's do this, I'm not the one sitting there like, well, like, this could happen, or what about that? Like, I'm like all in. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I don't think about the negatives, and then if they happen, I'm just like, oh, okay, deal with it. But I don't think about them ahead of time. So I didn't think anything would happen, especially considering the situation. Like, you're with someone you trust, being sent by someone you trust, like, go, I'm just trusting this. It's like for work, and I'm supposed to love my job and whatever, everything's great. And that night, like, we went out, which isn't an excuse still. And we got back home, and we're like on the couch watching a movie, and I fall asleep, and I wake up to her fiance's dad on top of me, like touching me, like, and I'm asleep, and I'm like feeling this. I'm like, what is going on? Like, why am I dreaming? This is a terrible dream. I'm like being moved around, and I wake up, and he's like right on top of me, and this is like a big man. I'm like, this is the first time in my life where I've actually felt like genuinely scared. Like, I've never gotten to that point before. Like, again, like, pretty independent, things don't really concern me, and I've never been in a situation where I felt like my person is like in any kind of danger. So this happening, I was like, oh my God, like, what is going on? And I pushed him off, and he came right back, like, no cares in the world. And it was honestly like I was like shocked at the time, and I don't really think at the time I like processed it properly. And I went into like the room with my friend, my coworker.
So how did you get away?
I just got up. I got up and I went into a different room with my coworker, and I told her what happened, because I'm like, this is your family. Like, you should deal with that. Right. And she, again, like, just like my boss did, like, didn't care. Like, it was just kind of like,
so you say,
oh, I'm
hey,
sorry.
This guy just got on top of me and tried to.
Yeah. I was like, he's on me, he's in my clothes, like, he's in, like, this is me. And she was just like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened. And I'm like, okay, so it's not a big deal. Like, I'm thinking she didn't care about it. It's her family member. I feel like if that was my family member, I might react differently, but I guess I'm not in that situation. So I just kind of like put it in the back, and I was like, okay, like, this happened, but we have to move on. Like, we're here for work. Like, nobody's stopping, nobody's caring, no one's doing anything about it, whatever. I got a hotel, like, immediately. Like, I told my mom, I was like, this is what happened. And she was like, no, you're out. Like, we're not staying there.
Right.
So I got a hotel, and I just kind of, like, let it sink in, and, like, had to deal with it on my own because no one seemed to, like, give a shit. So I just dealt with it, and, like, when I got back, and, like that plus the sexual harassment at work, it was just, like, a lot to take on. And I honestly didn't realize it until, like, I just caught myself miserable. And I'm not a miserable person. Like, I'm pretty optimistic, and I'm pretty happy despite, like, the bumps and all the things that I've been through. And, like, I'm still just always really happy. So when I found myself being, like, this miserable and, like, this, like, broken almost from all these situations, I had to pump the brakes, and I was like, I need to figure this out, because this is not where I need to be. This is not a good environment. So I left the job, and then that's when things sort of kind of started to hit me, where I'm like, okay, this, like, it just took a toll on me that I didn't realize was happening at the time until I actually had time to, like, be with it alone. It was like, it just hit me, and I'm like, oh my God, like, what a year. Like, it was just a lot. It was a lot. And, like, I've only been here a year, and it feels like I've been here for 5, because it was just, like, a year. Like, a real year.
Well, you know, and I think especially with sexual harassment cases, or, you know, like, going as far as where you went, a lot of girls or women are embarrassed to talk about it. You know, they don't want to talk about it, or like you're like, I told someone, and they didn't care.
Yeah.
And so, which is crazy to me, because if you had told even me, I'd be like, where's the guy?
Yeah.
We're gonna go beat him up.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So now you're depressed. You're down.
Yeah. And it didn't feel like anyone cared, and, like, I didn't really feel like, and again, I was nervous. Yeah, I mean, it like wrecked me. And I, like, what you're saying is, like, other people, like, they don't feel like they can come out about it, and I felt that way. And I'm like, I don't know how we get this in our heads that we can't talk to someone or, like, come out about it, because, like, we have to.
Right.
It's the only way. But it just feels like when you're in that moment, like, most of these situations, it feels like the woman never wins. Like, we just don't win. So who am I going to tell? It doesn't matter, because I'm not going to win. That's what it feels like. So, I mean, I told my boss, he didn't care, you know, she didn't care. So it's like a man and a woman both turn their heads on the woman. So
you've gone through these parts where you've been sexually harassed in the gym, which is your safe zone. That's your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You've been at a work trip, and now you've been attempted rape by some guy.
Yeah.
And you feel like you're screaming, but nobody's listening.
Yeah.
How did you feel during that time?
In that exact time, like, while I was still there, and I'm still in Florida, it's difficult, because I feel like part of me is, like, just my personality and just the way that I've gotten through things in the past is just to, like, immediately block it out. So, like, it was difficult because part of me was really hurting, and the other part of me was like, shut up, like, move on. But part of me was really hurting. And, like, the only people that I had told was, you know, the 2 people, like, my boss and the girl that I went with, and my parents, because I was like, it was 4:30 in the morning when I woke up, and I didn't know who else to text. I'm like, I have to tell my mom. Like, my mom's the first person. So, you know, she's texting me throughout the day, asking me how it's going, and it was weird. Like, it felt like a pit in my stomach, or it just felt like I was sick, but I had to just pretend I wasn't.
You were sick, you know, and you're such a tough girl.
Yeah.
And like you said, you're independent. You've kind of grown up that way, that you can only stomach that for so long.
Yeah.
You know.
And I didn't realize that, like, ignoring it was not the best plan. Like, I don't know what I could have done differently, but I don't think I should have ignored it. Right. But I just don't know what else you're supposed to do in that situation, especially because, I mean, the people I was telling weren't giving me any, like, next step advice. They're just like, this sucks. I'm sorry, which is nice, but doesn't help. It doesn't help when people are just saying, I'm sorry. It's like, okay, but I'm still not feeling good. Like, I'm not feeling happy. I'm feeling confused. I'm, like, angry at, like, every man I see. I hate all of them. And, like, it just was eating at me, but the other half of me was ignoring it, like, acting like everything was fine and it was cool and we're good. And I struggle with that all the time, where I always do that, where like, things will be bothering me and things will be going on, and I just keep going. Right. And I don't know if it's necessarily a struggle. I don't think it's the best thing, but that's just what I do.
What are you doing right now?
So right now, I've just recently decided, like, I want to do the personal training. I want to do the online coaching. And so I got my personal training certification, which was like a huge goal, and like that was fun. And so that, like, these little steps where it was like it was like a goal for me to get that. As I would get that, it would put more of me back to me, if that makes sense. So
absolutely.
I just, like, I'm a goal setter, so I just like set them and go, and I go and I go, and I just keep getting them. And as I'm like collecting these like stars, like these gold stars of goals, I'm feeling more like me, and I'm feeling more powerful, and I'm feeling better, and it's all like for the better of my body and my emotions, my spirit, like everything. And so, you know, through all this, I realized, like, I want to help other people find this same strength. Like, this is not something that you just wake up and you like know what you want to do and like have all this passion. Like, that's not, a lot of people don't ever get that, and they just like go through life like very same job, same everything, like they just settle,
or different job all the time.
Yeah, but still settling. And I don't think people should have to settle. I think we should all, like, it sucks, like maybe you have to go through one of these breaking points to figure that out, but it's okay, because like the next step is awesome. My name is Sarah Dowds, and this is my story.